Okay, this is my day 11 wrap up, eating on the starch solution and processing food from the garden. And, becoming a gardener, I always wanted to be a gardener, and now I am, apparently. And I always kind of dreamed of having fresh food to process and to can and to preserve and to cook. And now I'm doing it, and it's wonderful, and I really love it. I love eating this fresh food. But it takes all the time. It's like this time of the year, end of August. It's going to go on for a while. It's all about getting my equipment streamlined, remembering all the processes, chopping, all this good stuff that I'm doing, and uh, it's kind of consuming my life at the moment, as it turns out. And I do have other things to do. Anyway, I got up, I had oatmeal. I think it was leftover oatmeal. Yeah, maybe. I think it was. And then I had cantaloupe later after I meditated. And then I right away put my yoga mat down on the floor, got into my, um, workout clothes because I had said it yesterday. And even though it was something that I have been doing, the fact that I stated it yesterday, it was in my mind a little stronger. And it was just that much easier to get on the mat, start the yoga with Adrian, and then I did legs with Roberta's gym. And I had that done. Um, let's see, the brownies I had made yesterday. I got one out and I had a brownie later in the day, and I had a lot of flax crackers. And then apparently I had some watermelon. And I was kind of scrounging around for something to actually eat because I have a lot of fresh food, I have a lot of frozen food, but unless I want to turn the oven on, which I really don't want to do, I was kind of scrounging around for food. Um, I ended up, what was I doing in the afternoon? I forget what I was doing in the afternoon in terms of processing food, but I know I was doing something. And then I went to meditate, and then I went to the gym. Oh yeah, no, I went to the gym at 2:30 because it was Saturday. So I had to go a little early. And I did my resistance, my elliptical, sauna, whirlpool, went to Hy-Vee, the local grocery store, got some water, which I was out of, and a kombucha. That's right, this morning I bottled my kombucha with my pomegranate. I wish I had had more pomegranate. The budget did not allow for that, but I did grate fresh ginger and put ginger in there. I have about 9 bottles of kombucha put aside. It'll be ready to refrigerate on Tuesday, and I'll get to see how it tastes. And I hope it tastes really good. So I got that done. It took a while. All these processes take a while. After I got home from meditation in the evening, I was famished, and I was rooting around in my cabinet, and I had some sunflower seeds from my one of my oh yeah, from my crackers, which I don't think I put sunflower seeds in my crackers. Maybe I did. But anyway, I just had some sunflower seeds. And then somebody had mentioned pesto. Oh, when I was at the rec center, my friend was on the phone and she says, I'll bring pesto. Well, as soon as I hear the word pesto, I'm off to the, pasta races. So I had some walnuts in the cabinet, and I took fresh basil and walnuts, and I ground up some pesto and some red lentil pasta, or maybe it was yellow lentil pasta, and fresh cherry tomatoes, and I had a wonderful dish of pesto. But the good news is, with portion control, I only had like half, and then I put the other half aside, which is great, because in the past maybe I would have eaten the entire dish just because it was there. No need for that. And let's see, there was something else I was thinking about there. Oh, I don't remember. But anyway, had that, and oh yeah, the cherry tomatoes. I have a lot of cherry tomatoes. I'm going to have more. And, I can give away some. I was thinking about going to the farmer's market. I don't believe I'm going to go there. Um, the cherry tomatoes, I found the way to freeze them. You put them on a tray and you freeze them in the freezer separated. Because if you just put them in a plastic container, they all mush together and then you can't get them apart. So I'm just freezing these wonderful cherry tomatoes so that I'll have them, later. And I can add them to a dish or roast them, something like that. The other thing I want to do is at some point I want to get the dehydrator out and make sun-dried tomatoes or dehydrated tomatoes, which are so good to add to food. They're really tasty. But anyway, and then I started on the marinara sauce because I wanted to start, no, it was actually earlier in the day that I was working on the tomatoes. That's right. And I blanched the tomatoes, cored them. I had them in the refrigerator, and then I started the marinara sauce later in the evening. Chopped the green and red peppers, some onions, put some fresh basil in there, some tomato paste, and I made a nice marinara sauce because my goal was to can it, and I wanted to use my pressure cooker, which I had gotten out of the shed. Unfortunately, there's a little air vent which is missing, and it has been missing before, but I've found it at different times. In fact, if I go out in the shed, I might find it. But I found that I could get a replacement for it, which is good, because without that, it's pretty useless. So instead of doing the pressure cooking, which would have taken 10 minutes, I did the water bath canning, which took 40 or 50 minutes. And it worked. I heard one pop right before I started this, and maybe I'll hear another one pop before I'm finished, but I'm quite sure I did it correctly. I also had to find citric acid, which I knew I had it somewhere in the house, and I finally found it in my spice drawer, and some salt. I added that to it. And I could have used lemon, but I don't have a lemon. So now I just have 1 quart or one, I guess it's a little less than a quart, and it's like a tall container and 1 pint of this sauce. But at least I've done a trial run, and I know that next Wednesday when I get paid, I will order for another air vent, and then my pressure cooker will be ready to rock and roll. So a lot of this is getting the kinks out of the system, because there's always some little, like the citric acid. If I hadn't had that, I would have had to go to the store and spend more money. And in the evening, as I was doing this process when I got home, I really felt like I needed some pep. So I made some brisk black tea with lemon. It was actually the lemon that I had squeezed to put into the tomatoes, and that's why I really needed the citric acid. And I added honey to it, which is not strictly on the diet, but I was having a moment of weakness. And even the black tea in the evening was a moment of weakness, because I don't generally drink caffeine at night. But I was on this mission, and I just felt like I needed a little boost. I had some cabbage in the refrigerator, and I made another small pint of sauerkraut. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Didn't quite have enough cabbage to make it to the top. We'll see. And then I made stuffed peppers. I had these peppers which were so fresh and crisp from the garden, and I'm going to have a lot more peppers, which is good. And I cooked quinoa I had some rice, and then I looked for a recipe online. It said to add beans, and I think there was pinto beans they suggested, but I had just gotten a can of black beans today. So it was beans, rice, and quinoa with some of the marinara sauce, and then I mixed it all up as a filling, then cut the peppers in half. I think I had about 5 peppers. I turned the oven on to 350, so I heated the place up. Then I added the filling to the peppers and cooked them. It said 20 minutes, but they didn't really look done. I didn't think that was enough time, and I added another 10 minutes, and they were still a little raw, because later I had one of the peppers with some extra marinara sauce. And they're now in the freezer. So when they're ready for eating, I will have to remember to cook them for like another 15 minutes at 350 to have a wonderful little, you know, side dish or meal. Have two of them be a meal. So I'm on the job, and the zucchinis, my, you know, 11 huge zucchinis are still sitting there very patiently waiting to be turned into fritters. And the kale, Gary said he would, if he had the energy, he'd like to can some kale. I said, can you even can kale? And I looked it up, and indeed you can. So you can kale. So I will start canning kale. But I'm not going to pick the kale until I get this zucchini pretty much processed. So, but I'm ready to, you know, start the zucchini maybe tomorrow. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to go down to Gary's tomorrow, go down to church, and then I'm going to go in the garden, and I'll have to come up. I'll come back with more produce, I'm quite sure, because I'll spend at least an hour in the garden picking cherry tomatoes, maybe a little kale. I'll pick some of his tomatoes, but I think these tomatoes are kind of on him now, because he has his salsa that he wants to make. He'll probably start doing that soon. So anyway, that's my day 11. It was a good one. I exercised. Like when I went to the gym, I did my resistance, my elliptical, I did my yoga, I did my legs. And that's, I think, one of the reasons I was sort of dragging. But I'm glad I did it, because I'm sticking with that plan. It's like I have layers of plans on plans. You can't drop one plan for the other plan. Trying to get it all in. Anyway, that's it. That's my wrap up.